So what age was Aisha radiallahu anha at the time of her marriage? Allah knows best. If you look at the narrations from Asma radiallahu anha, she comes out to be 15, 16 at the time of being given in marriage, 17 at Hijrah, and 19, 18 at the time of consummation, around that. But if you look at the narration from Bukhari of Aisha herself, she comes out to be 6 or 7 at the time that the nikah was given, and 9 or 10 at the time that she was married off. And there's nothing wrong with this. But understanding all of these aspects, what do we know for sure? That she was at an age that the Arab took as regular to be engaged, because she was already engaged to Zubayr. And she was married at an age that was acceptable by the Arab because there was no objection raised to. And Aisha radiallahu anha herself says in the hadith in al-Tirmidhi that the woman, the Arab at that time, would reach puberty at the age of 9. It's a separate hadith. It has nothing to do with her marriage. But it does tell us something about the custom and the physical makeup of the women of the Arab. That around that age, they would be physically ready. And to keep things in perspective, because people are not just when they discuss. When you want to discuss something, let's be just about it. Let's be fair about it. Let's discuss things openly. If you look at Western history, and I'm not going to go all the way back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, because when he was married to Khadija radiallahu anha, and then to Aisha radiallahu anha, this is more than 437 years from Hijri. 1437 years. 1437. Let's not go that far. Let's just go back about 600 years ago. Richard II of England married Isabel of France when she was 7 years old. Historic fact. Only 600 years ago, 1396. This is less than half the time that it's been for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's not even go that far back. So if Western historians, Orientalists, when these people in the West want to argue with us, let's be fair about it. When I read about Richard II, all I read from Orientalists is how wonderful of a marriage it was, how it brought peace between England and France, and they praised this marriage. She was 7 years old. So how come you don't use the same label when discussing Richard II of England? So why can't we be fair about it? Let's talk about the Bible. Because most Christians love to bring up this issue. Those evangelical people and on 700 Club. Let's look at the Bible. Maryam, as they call Mary in the Bible. Now Muslims, we don't believe it. Alright? I'm discussing this from a biblical perspective now. Mary, according to the Bible, was married at 12 to Joseph, who was Mahdi, 90 years old. Bible. You want to talk about name calling? You want to talk about making cartoons and pictures? Let's talk about it. Let's be fair about it. A 12-year-old marrying a 90-year-old? Rebecca, according to the Bible, not the Quran. Not Quran. We don't believe Maryam alayhi salam was married to Joseph. We don't have this misconception that God had a stepfather and kind of, or maybe I don't know. How does that work? Anyway. But Rebecca was married to Ishaq, Isaac, according to the Bible, when she was how old, Mahdi? 3 years old. Go look it up. Google it. 3 years old. You wanna point fingers? Seriously? According to Jewish law, for all my debaters from the Jewish faith, according to Jewish law, there's a book, and I actually got a PDF of this book. I might actually go buy it. It's called A History of Messianic Law of Purities by Jacob Neusner. He says, according to Judaic law, a woman can be married when she's 3 years and 1 day old. And I'm not going to elaborate on this, but according to him, not just the nikah, but the consummation can be done at 3 years and 1 day old. Go look it up. It's not a Muslim author. We didn't make this stuff up. 3-year-olds? Seriously? And now you want to debate with us? So when we discuss these issues, it has to be discussed in fairness. You have to discuss it looking at every aspect. You can't point a finger, not realizing what your scriptures may say. We as Muslims, we love the Sharia. And what does the Sharia teach us? That you have to look at the urf of a people.